Hello, welcome on to our Thursday night live session, and tonight we're talking all about consistency, and this kind of rolls on from what we were or what I was doing in last week's session when we were talking about procrastination. They're very highly linked, but first of all, say hello as you're coming on. Let me know whether you are watching live or whether you're watching on the replay. Let me know in the comments. I just always like to see who's checking in, who's actually watching this stuff, because it goes without saying that none of it means anything if you don't actually follow through with it. And that's what I'm like. I know these tools freaking work because these are the things. Hey Stephanie, thanks for coming on. Nice to see you. These are the things that I have implemented in my own life. Like, I have been so, like, we've all been there, right? We've gone and we've had this idea that, like, this is the thing that we're going to do. This is the thing that's going to change my life, whether it's be a new diet because you want to lose weight, whether it's you'll be like, I'm going to start meditating because everybody says how amazing it is for you, or I'm going to start journaling, or I'm going to start putting myself out there more and practice. Whatever it is that you've decided is the goal that you want for your life, you've probably been there, right? And you've gone all in and you're excited and you're like, yes, this is going to be it. Then you go all, you're spot on with everything for like 2 whole weeks, and you get to week 3 and then you're like, yeah, I'm kind of over it now, and the excitement's gone and the buzz has gone down, and you kind of like wane off a little bit and ease off, and then you get like 2 months later and you're like, oh, feeling frustrated by this thing again. You're like, right, I'm going to do it again, and it's going to be different this time. Let me know if you have ever done that, because I'm sure we've all been there. Like, that's how I spent like a lot of my life, like doing these things, and this was going to be the next amazing magic fix. And the huge realization, and it's not fun, it's not sexy, it's like the big realization is that there are no freaking quick fixes. They don't exist. They don't work. If you are really serious about hitting your goals, your dreams, the things that you want, you've got to remind yourself and have this awareness with yourself that this is going to take for you to stick with it for the long term. And that's why it's so important that we shift our mindset towards asking ourselves, how do we get to remain consistent with it? Because that's the only time you're ever going to change anything. Hey Louise, Stephanie says all the time. Yeah, I know that you guys have been there. So I really wanted to share some tools that have allowed me to be consistent in anything that I do, whether it is business stuff, whether it's with my fitness stuff. And I'm not perfect at this. There are definitely still some elements that I'm not consistent with, and I'm going to touch on the reasons behind that. I'm perhaps not as consistent with, definitely like with my stretching and yoga stuff. I always say, run, do yoga, and you don't do it, and there's reasons behind that, and we're going to go into that. But I wanted to just give you some things that you can really start to think about and to implement. And it's really the structure and the basis that I developed the Get Your Shit Together Life Planner around, because having this as a tool to come in and check in with myself each and every day has changed things massively. And it's why I always bang on about it. And if you have not been and downloaded these 3 pages, it is completely free. To get, I mean, obviously this is the hard copy, but you can get these pages for free, and I'm going to be tapping into where you want to use these. Go and get them, because if you started implementing it now, started to use this as a habit, as a tool to start practicing consistency now in the run up to the end of the year, that's going to help you massively when we get to the new year and we're like, because we're all on it. When it gets to January, we're like, yes, this is it. And think about how you have the energy when you start in January. What if you could maintain that throughout the year? How could things be different? How could your ability to actually reach your goals change? Because that was one of the things that you guys said. Your struggle with reaching your goals is your inability to be consistent. And people will talk about motivation all the time, and it's never down to just motivation. Motivation is, something that comes and goes, but what sticks with you is habits, routines, consistency. So first off, your first step, so if you've got pen and paper, to, take some notes, write these things down, and I'll put all the main points into the post afterwards. But the first one is clarity. Is clear about what it is that you want. What is the thing that you want? So we say that maybe you want to lose a stone, or maybe you want to feel less stressed, so that you're going to start some meditation, or whatever it is that is for you. Because I know that you guys come in with so many different reasons, so many different things, as we work across all areas. I work with health and fitness, I work with mindset, relationships, development, all these different areas. But just think about that one area for you and start to allow yourself to get really, really clear. And this is what we do when we go into the planner work and go in through the Dream Life Map. And having that space where you can start to really create a vision of what it is that you want. What's the thing? What's the goal? What's the big vision? We've got to have something that grounds us into why we do what we do. Because there's going to be times when you don't feel like showing up. There's going to be times when you don't feel like doing. Being consistent with anything, like me being consistent with these videos, for me to show up and create content for you guys, this is free content for you guys. It takes time, it takes energy, it takes me researching and writing out my notes. It's actually a lot of hard work. And there are times like tonight, I was like, I'm actually really freaking tired. But I'm clear on my vision and my goal, and that's why I show up for you guys, because I know that I am so passionate about these tools, because I've seen the difference that it makes to my own life. And for me to show up in this group and share it with you is my everything. Like, I get messages from you guys and you say these things, how much it helps. That's my reasons, that's my clarity, why I do these sessions in here. So it's allow you to start to think about what it is that you're trying to achieve. So my outcome, my big goal and vision is to help thousands of women to start to implement these really simplistic tools, because this is not stuff that you have to be smart or to be clever. You just have to actually take action on it. Oh, you're very welcome, Stephanie. Don't get me wrong, I freaking love doing it. And this is the thing, I'm like, can be tired before a session, and I'm like, the energy that comes because I give a shit about it and I care and I'm passionate about it. So that is my vision. That's my why. And people talk a lot about a why, and it's got to be there. It's not enough for you to say, oh, well, I just want to lose a stone. It's not powerful enough. And this is why so many people fail or stop. It's because there's not that driving force, not that reason why that's going to get you up off your arse and into action. So that's your first step. Create clarity and ask yourself why it is important to you, and go beyond. I talk about this in the planner trainings. You've got to go beyond that surface why. Ask yourself, why is that important to you? Why do you care? Why do you give a shit? What difference is it going to make to your life? What's the impact if you don't achieve? And I think that's, we want to look at the positive, but some people say, oh, well, don't look at the negative. Actually, sometimes we do have to look at the negative and say, what is going to be the impact in your life if you stay exactly where you are right now? Could you live to your dying day and be like, yeah, that was fine? Because if you could, then that's probably not going to motivate you enough to make change. If you're like, no, I'm sick of this shit, something has to change. I want something different. I know I'm worthy of having something different. I know I deserve to have something different. That's the stuff that's going to get you fired up and to step into action. So I put the Dream Life visualization again for anybody who downloads the planner to go in and do that. And if you're like not really sure of what it is that you're trying to work towards, you've got to get the clarification around that, getting clear on exactly what it is that you want. So step number 2 is going to be magnify the meaning. And this is about piling it on, like really, really go on a much deeper level. We've got our clarity. What is the thing that we want? And now we're going into why. Whose life is it going to change? Because, you might think, oh, well, it's just, I just want to lose a few pounds. Like, no, it's not just about losing the few pounds. Like, whose life is it going to change? If you're a parent and you're feeling happy and confident in your skin, if you are feeling energetic, if you are feeling like you can keep up with your kids, that's not just impacting your life, that's impacting your kids' life. It could impact your work colleagues' lives because you're like full of energy and feeling revitalized and energized when you go into work. It has much bigger impact than just on yourself. And this magnifying the meaning behind it also allows you to raise your level of priority. And I see this so much, especially with fitness, because I still teach fitness classes, and I've had a day actually where some people have come in and like, oh, I can't make it today, I've got this and this on. Like, I totally get that. I'm not saying that you can't ever not show up to a session. Sometimes you need to not show up to a session if your body needs to rest and recover. But when you're consistently making these excuses for not showing up, that's because there's no priority there. It's not that important to you. And whilst it's not that important to you, you're probably going to be a little bit flaky about it. If you want something and you really freaking want it, pile on the meaning behind it. Make it not just something that you want, but it's a necessity in your life. And this is like why I come and show up for these sessions. It's become, there's so many different things that I could do with my life, but no, this is like necessity for me because it's passion, it's meaning, it's my everything. And you kind of have to get that obsession about something if you really want to go for it. It's got to mean something. It's got to have this power behind you. Okay. The next steps number 3, is to create a strategy behind it. Hey guys, I can just see people popping in. Do say hi as you're coming on. Let me know when you're tuning in from. So having a strategy about it. So we've got the goal. We've got clear on the vision. We've piled on some meaning. Now, what's the strategy behind it? What do I say when I mean strategy? Because I'm not the type of person. I'm a very go with the flow person. So I'm like, strategy. Ooh. All you've got to ask yourself is, okay, this is the thing that I want. That's the big vision. That's the big goal. What is the first step in achieving that? Then ask yourself, what's the second step? What's the third step? So I'll give you an example in weight loss. So, because it's easy, I talk about weight loss a lot. So the first step might be, okay, I need to drink more water. It's as simple as that. You then need to recreate the consistent habit about drinking more water. The second step might be, right, I need to schedule in that I'm going to exercise at least 3 times a week. The third step might be that you need to start creating some healthy recipes. That's 3 steps. That's your strategy. You then have to develop the consistency of it. So you're starting to write it into, and again, this is where you come back to doing your daily focus sheets. This is where I write these things in. So it could be, I'm going to drink 1.5 litres of water today. I'm going to do my workout. I'm going to cook a healthy meal. This becomes your strategy. And you getting intentional about this strategy. Write in the steps and you remind yourself of your big vision. You can come back to your big vision every day. Like most days, I allow myself to sit when I'm writing in my daily focus sheet. What is it that I want? What are the steps that are going to help me to get there today? And I write that down. That's about being accountable to yourself. So it's not, like I said, this is not about motivation. There's going to be some days that you do not feel like doing that. And you're going to have this balance of, okay, I don't feel like I'm doing it. Why am I doing this? Could revert back to that vision, the goal, the reason why. You continually tap back into that loop so that you're constantly reminding yourself why it's important to you. Because it's easy to just slack off and not do it. And this is what I'm saying. If there's no necessity, there's no priority behind it, then yeah, you're probably not going to get it done. So think about how you can intensify the energy behind the intention. Because that's what it is. So many people talk about alignment and like, what the frick is even alignment? It's clarity on a vision, and it's intention and energy behind the steps to take you forward towards that goal. That's what alignment is. So we've created the clarity, magnified the meaning, then having a strategy. Ask yourself what the strategy is. If you need another example, maybe your goal is to feel less stressed. You want to be less pissed off and angry and frustrated and all over the place. So the strategy, what's the strategy for helping you to move towards the clarity behind it? Is I want to feel at ease, I want to feel in control, I want to feel at peace with my thoughts, and I want to feel happy. That's the clarity. Magnifying the meaning behind that. The meaning behind it could be because it's impacting my family, because it's making me ill, because I know that my life kind of depends on this. And that might sound really intense, but I think it does. People who are dealing with chronic stress, you're just putting your bodies through so much that it's no wonder we see, long-term illnesses. So thinking about this as almost like life or death, that's magnifying the necessity behind it. That's putting it as a priority, because when you put that level of priority on it, are you going to take those steps forward? Yeah, you're far more likely to do that and to do it consistently. Then your strategy becomes, what are the steps to help me to feel less stressed? Setting myself some boundaries with my work-life balance could be number one. I'm going to finish work at such and such time. I'm going to turn off my computer. I'm going to turn off my phone. I'm going to prioritise me. That could be your first step. The second one could be adding in meditation. Looking at that as a daily practice. So you come onto your daily focus sheet. I'm going to do 5 minutes of meditation or just some deep breathing. Really simple stuff, because this is... and that's actually going to be into step 4. I don't want to go into that yet. But, getting this into a rhythm of doing it, because any of this stuff, and I'll tap into step 4, which is to keep it simple. So often we overcomplicate things, like the whole weight loss thing. Like I said, there's like 3 steps there that you could do that would make an impact to your life. Stress reduction, whether it's increasing your confidence, we overcomplicate it. When you say, I'm going to create a strategy for this, you like this, it's going to be this, and this. No, you need to pick the one thing first that's going to have the biggest impact for change. Then you add on the next thing, and then the next thing, and we look at it as a compound in effect. Consistency comes from like one little thing, a habit, something small that you change, and you practice it day after day after day after day until it becomes just part of that thing that you do. For me, like fitness, I mean, sure, there are some days that I can't be bothered doing it, but it's just that thing that I do. I do it at least 3 times a week. It's not a big deal anymore. I drink lots of water, and if I don't, I feel thirsty because my body's so used to doing it. Once we get it into our rhythm of that's just the thing that we do, it's like anything. When you start off, it's always the hardest part. So when you can keep it simple and just focus on one thing at a time, then when you've got that nailed down, then you can add on the next thing. Is this all making sense? Let me know. You've all gone quite quiet on here. No questions. If you've got any questions as we go along, do put them in the box. Whether you're watching on replay or live, I always come back and answer them. If you're doing it on live, I'll try and tap into them as we're going along. So number 4 was just keep it simple. Stop overcomplicating it. We like to complicate it because it's almost our subconscious is kind of coming in and saying, this is the reason that I've not been able to do it, because it's so complicated. It's like that self-fulfilling prophecy. Keep it simple. Really simplify things. And this is, again, when you're using the daily focus, use the top three on here, top 3. Those are your priority goals. Allow yourself to just not have to write massive lists. Just like if you could just do one thing, like what is the priority item for you right now? And when we're setting goals within the planner, I only ever give you those 3 or 4 items max to focus on, because when we give ourselves too much to do, we get distracted. And that is one that I have to remind myself to come back to, because I have so much that I want to do. I really do have to just really bring it back to the basics and simplify it. And when I do, that's when I have the most impact. And then the 5th thing that so many people miss is the process of reflecting and reviewing, because this is how it goes. We set off on a goal, we go, all this enthusiasm, and we keep going and we keep going, and there's never any check-in with yourself. We don't ever stop to pause. We just like, not sure it's working anymore, and not sure I can bother doing this, and there's no accountability. And yes, of course, that's, with my Shine Squad crew, it's a huge amount of accountability in there. But a big part of the non-negotiables that they have to do each week is to come in to do the end of week review. So again, this is in the planner. You've got access to this as a free tool. I use the printable in a folder. I used that for years. If you can't invest in the hard copy planner, just print off the free copy. Your reflect and review is about having the habit of coming in and checking in with yourself. I do this religiously every week. I either do it on a Sunday night or I do it on a Monday morning. How did last week go? And this isn't about beating yourself up about it, like, oh, I didn't do this, this and this. It's like saying, okay, why didn't we do it? What's going on? How can we change? How can we use that information from last week and flip it so that we can improve something this week? And it's your invitation as well to come back to your why, because it's all right setting that why and doing all the work to intensify it and make it a necessity and make it a priority. But when life happens, other things become a priority, and this gets forgotten about. So your weekly, the real emphasis behind the weekly review is to tap back in with that why every single week. And there'll be some weeks when, especially if I'm having weeks where things have been a little bit slower than I'd like, and the progress isn't as fast as I want, and that can be demotivating and hard to get back up and go again. So I will redo my dream life visualization, because that's where I find my power, that's where I find my passion, and that's where we find our drive. So it's not about setting this why and this clarity in steps 1 and 2. You've got to revisit that. You've got to come back to it again and again and again, because that's where you're going to find your motivation. You're going to have to take yourself away from the emotion and just, I talk a lot about, tuning into a feeling and following the feel good, but there are going to be times when you're like, fuck, this doesn't feel good and I don't want to do it. So that's when we've got to tap into the dream life visualization, because that's what's feel good. That's what we need to follow. That's what we need to reignite and come back to. So those are your 5 steps. And of course, it comes in with using that planner tool. It's why I've based everything I teach around that, because it has helped me so much. I'm so flaky. If I did not have that, I would be one flaky motherfucker. I'd be giving up on stuff all the time. Doing this process and coming back to it all of the time, every week reignites my fire. It's like, right, okay, this is what's happening this week. This is where I get to realign back in with that goal. That's where I find my fire. And that's where you start to find your consistency. So just to recap on those. Step number 1 was getting crystal clear clarity. Do that dream life visualization. Tap into it. What the fuck do you want? Then number 2 is magnify the meaning. It's the why, going deeper into the why, and not just surface why. Like, why is this important to you? Why do you care? How is this going to change your life? Where do you not want to be if you stay stuck exactly where you are right now? What are you not going to tolerate anymore because you've had enough of this shit? You've got to build that level of intensity and energy behind it and allow that energy to build up inside of you. Do that work, write it all out, and why you're annoyed and aggravated by this, and then what are you now going to step into to create something different. So that's when we magnify the meaning, we create it as a priority. You've got to make it a priority in your life. If you are just setting goals that have no meaning, then yes, you're probably never going to get there. They've got to freaking mean something to you. Then we go into the strategy. So I have the strategy. What are the steps that need to happen? So this is where in the planner you'd start out with like the big goal, the 1 year goal, and then we work it back. So okay, where would I like to be in 90 days time? Where would I want to be in 60 days time? Where do I want to be in 30 days time? Number 4 is to keep it simple, really simple. All of my goals, and I've just seen, do you have any different goals for each day, or do you keep the same ones all week? I would generally keep the same ones all week, and it's always the same. Like the vision is the big goal, so there's certain elements of my big goals, so they involve my health and fitness, they involve my family, they involve my business and my income. So when I come to my daily goals, I'm like, okay, because some of those elements kind of maintain themselves because of my daily habits that I've already established. If I was like, right, no, this is the one that's going to make the biggest impact for me right now, is improving my health or changing my career, whatever that is, just start with one area and then you'd ask yourself, what is the step towards that this week? Does that make sense? But yeah, I definitely look at having one goal for that week. You might even have that goal for a month. You want to have that goal until it's become a habit and it's consistent and it's no longer as much as of a big effort. You might still have to have times when you check back in with yourself on that. But looking at having it in place, and this is what I'm talking about. People want the quick fix. You know, you're going to have one goal and then the next day have another one and the next day have another one. You're going to be like, oh my God, it's too much. And you're going to stop and you're going to quit. And that's when people get overwhelmed and just don't do anything. Whereas you're like, no, this is the goal. This is what I'm going to do today. Get up tomorrow. This is the goal. This is what's going to help me to get that big vision goal, this little thing. The next day, same thing. The next day, same thing. And you might have a few different ones that you're doing at the same time. But we're looking at implementing it until it becomes a habit, a behaviour, and it's less of an effort. You're just like, that's just what I do. I just drink 1.5 litres of water today. Or if you're looking for a new job, it might be every day I go and spend 20 minutes on LinkedIn looking for new roles. But you know, whatever the goal is, you do it as a routine and habit until you've taken that next step forward. And so yeah, that comes back to keeping it simple stuff. 3 was have the strategy, 4 was keep it simple, and then 5, never ever ever underestimate the power of the reflect and the review. Every week I get my guys to do it because it is your check-in with yourself. You reality check with yourself, and not from a space of like, oh, you didn't do it again, you're so rubbish. Like, no, I didn't do this again, I'm still putting that off. Why could it be that I'm putting it off? Is it because I'm fearful of something? Is it because, and this comes back to what we talked about last week on procrastination, allowing yourself to like look objectively, like, why is this not happening yet? What do I now do to get this to change? That is what I've got for you. So the main takeaway from this is, if you're not already using the planner, maybe you downloaded it at one point and you weren't consistent with that. Like, how you do one thing is how you do everything. So if you could start to be consistent with using the planner, then you could start to be consistent with using you achieving your goals. Because that's what I want for you. I want you to be progressing in your life and taking these steps forwards and feeling accomplished. So start with using the planner, go back to the download, print off the pages, commit to just using this space between now and Christmas to, it might be about maintaining certain things. It might be that you want to develop this one new habit before the end of the year is out, so that you can start when we revisit all of this goal setting stuff in January, that you're like, right, now here's the next level, here's what's coming to me next. I really hope that you found it useful. I hope you're going to go and download the planner. If you've been using the download planner and you want to treat yourself to a hard copy ready for the new year, go and purchase your hard copy. Have it as that little treat for yourself, that you've decided we're moving into a new decade, people, the 20s, the 2020s. How is it going to be different, or is it going to be the same old shit again and again? I know that you want it to be different, so let's freaking make it happen. Let me know your thoughts and comments. If you've still got any questions, of course, let me know. Comment, message me. I'll put the link to the planner if anybody's been watching and hasn't already been using it. It is a game changer, but like anything, you've got to be consistent with it, and it's not a quick fix. It's going to take that longevity, but my God, when you do it, it's going to be absolutely worth it. Have an awesome rest of your evening. Thank you so much for joining me, and if you did enjoy it, make sure that you hit on the like button so so that I know that you enjoy this type of content and that I can create more of it. And I'll be back with you again next Thursday, because I am committed to being consistent for you guys. And if there are any specific topics that you would like me to cover, then let me know again in the comments, and I'll be sure to make sure that it is I'm giving the stuff that you guys want to see more of. Have an awesome rest of your evening. Peace out.